And you're listening to Gender Queries on 100.5 FM, CFRO, Vancouver's Cooperative Radio. And joining us now is Andrea from Elections Canada. So, Andrea, please tell us about your position and your pronouns.
My pronouns are she and her, and I am the media relations person for Elections Canada, which means I'm the official spokesperson for the agency.
So, a lot of our listeners are trans and they have concerns about voting. They've had perhaps negative experiences in the past. And I know Elections Canada is working to make sure that doesn't happen. What can you tell us about if you're a trans voter? What do we need to know? Can you vote? Can you vote without ID with a different gender marker? Does a gender marker matter?
Mhm.
And if you can also talk about the non-binary option that Elections Canada seems to have implemented.
Yes, we have done that in time for this election, which is great that you don't have to choose male or female. Actually, on the list of electors, gender is irrelevant. Gender isn't mentioned anywhere. It's just
Oh,
your
great.
name and your address. Those are the two things that matter about voting. So, Elections Canada's role really is to help make it simple for everyone who is a Canadian citizen over the age of 18 to vote. And we need a name and an address so we can assign people to polls. Gender is totally irrelevant to that. So we do have an option that you don't have to choose a gender now. And I would suggest to anybody that they should check and see if they're registered.
And how would be the best way to do that?
Best way to do that is to go to elections.ca, and right on that homepage, there's there you can just click on it and it'll say check and see if I'm registered. And then you just follow, it'll take you step by step right through. I just did it myself about a week ago because I'd moved recently and I wasn't sure if the correct address had got made its way to Elections Canada, but there it was, and here you know what, there was me, and I was just fine. So definitely do that and see if you're registered. And then if you're not registered to vote, you can register right online. And we do need that ID to tell us your name and your address. Those are the only two things that matter. So there's a lot of different kinds of ID that you can use and combinations of ID to prove who you are and where you live. Everything from student cards to credit cards, bills, the bill that you get, a bank statement is good. There's a huge long list available on our website of all the different kinds of ID that we can accept.
Yeah, and it is very extensive.
Yes.
I remember last election, like pill bottles, like even a pill bottle would work. So yeah, if people want to register, all they need to go to elections.ca and put their info in, upload some identification or I guess pill bottle. Uh, so I know some people are concerned because they have photo ID. Most people have photo ID, but their appearance doesn't match what's on their photo because it might be, 2, 3 years old. Things change. And so can they still vote?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you have a driver's license and it has your name and your address on it, as I said, gender is irrelevant.
You can even use documents that don't have your gender on it at all, right?
Yes, yes, you can. Absolutely. Like we were saying, there's a massive list of the kinds of things that are acceptable.
I know in 2015 and I believe 2019, the electors list had a gender marker on like in the big book that voting officers had. So you say that's been removed entirely.
Yeah.
That's great. About voter information cards, I know trans folks have gotten voter information cards in their old name. This has been kind of a running issue. How best can trans folks deal with fixing that problem?
Right. Sometimes this happens because the other agencies, the other departments that we deal with haven't updated their information. So if you have still have a driver's license in an old name, that we probably will have the old name. If you have the driver's license updated, then that will happen. So it's sort of there's this information sharing between a few different, there's the tax, you know, if you mark that tax can share that information with Elections Canada. We do get it from motor vehicles, from driver's license, things like that. So it's one of those cases that if something is updated, it starts the process rolling. So hopefully that will gradually work its way through the system. But you can always update right online with your new name and any ID that you have.
So you're saying just go to the elections.ca website and go through the registration process?
Yes, absolutely. Do that. It won't be necessarily shared with, isn't going to be shared with anyone else, but it will update our records and it will stay. You will go to the polling place and your name will be your name.
Yeah, that sounds great. If trans folks have trouble voting, how can they make sure their vote is cast?
Do you mean if they're not on the list of electors?
Yeah, just for any reason, I guess, whatsoever.
Well,
Uh,
I think the best, as we've been talking about, making sure that you're on that list of electors, that is pretty much a guarantee that you are going to be allowed to vote. If you're not, you are entitled to register at the polls. Make sure that you have an ID that is one of those acceptable IDs that are listed on elections.ca, and there's no reason that you should be turned away.
and one other page on the elections.ca website, it's their facts on ID, frequently asked questions on ID, and it has a bunch of information there as well.
Yes, exactly. There's a whole section that has to do with transgender people and what is being done and how best they can approach this.
And I know a lot of the returning officers have been super helpful with resolving issues in the past. I know there was a couple kind of community groups in the last few elections, last few by-elections, and it seems that contacting that officer tends to fix all the problems as well. So yeah.
Indeed, if you're having any trouble with the website, or you'd rather do it in person, certainly go down to your local Elections Canada office, the returning office, and they can do that for you. They can help make sure you're on the list of electors.
Yeah, and to find that, you go to the Elections Canada website and just put your postal code in, right? So
It all
yeah,
comes up. Yep.
super handy resources. And yeah, all right. Thanks so much, Andrea.
Thank you.